YouTube, what the kill stab crap is going on? Heir of Skaven here, and welcome to a Total War Warhammer 2 battle. And this is going to be IKIT facing off against Wulfric the Wanderer. This is a Discord submitted replay. If you have replays you want me to look at, go into the Discord. We have a Warhammer 2 replays thread. Go find it. You can attach your replay there. Tell me why you want me to see it. If you have team battles, if you have single battles, want advice, whatever, you can go post replays there either for me or for other people to look at and give you advice. It's a great thing to do. Go join that Discord. The link is up in the description. So yes, Skaven, this is going to be an interesting army. There's going to be a lot of zap-zap. So we're going to have two Warp Lightning Cannons, and they're positioned on far flanks. Interesting map here for this because there's wide open spaces, so not a bad choice for a lot of skirmishing. We do have some of these new Warp Grinder units in the back supporting the Skaven. These units can hold another unit still and cause an area of effect damage. They're pretty nice support for cheap infantry. And then we've also got some Warplock Jezzails here, which are very good long-range skirmishers. And then just a cheap line of Skaven. Very cheap stuff for the most part. Skaven Slaves, Skaven Spears, Skaven Slave Spears. I mean, just nothing significant here. There is a Plague Priest on the Furnace. IKIT is on his Doom Wheel. And then on the flanks, we do have some Eshin Triads and Skaven Slave Spears supporting the Warp Lightning Cannons. There is a single unit of Rat Ogres. So this is a very, and then a second unit over here. This is a very low-cost Skaven army in terms of infantry. There's very little there. The Skaven know that their damage has to come from their heroes and from their summoned units. We do have some Norscan Ice Wolves out here to help lead Wulfric's army in terms of mobility. And then the front line, Wulfric has some Marauders. And then in the secondary line, I believe, he's got, or no, they're right here in the front. These are the Icehorn Marauders. So didn't quite notice these guys right off the bat. Icehorn Marauders, pretty cool Regiment of Renown unit. And then we do have some Marauders with great weapons on the flanks in the back, as well as a Marauder Berserker in the middle. And then here we've got Wulfric. He's supported by the Skinwolf Werekin. I was going to get that one wrong. And then there are some Famir Warriors. These are the Mist Stalkers. This is a unit that can actually Vanguard deploy, so a little bit curious when folks bring this one and then do not Vanguard deploy. But I mean, it's not like it doesn't have other uses. No magic for the Norskins. An interesting choice here to just go all in. And there's going to be a Marauder Ice Wolf Chariot here too. These things do some potential missile damage. It's fairly low range, but decent missile damage, and they're mostly just an anti-infantry unit. Against Skaven, could be a potentially great unit. Now, I want to point out something interesting about the Skaven deployment. See how far the artillery is to the flanks? It's very risky. If there were Skin Wolves and other stuff coming up the flanks, it's going to be tough, but the Skaven player is betting on his chaff infantry being enough to help hold down these cannons. And if the Norskin goes all in with their mobility on the flanks, they're going to get chewed on a little bit by the Eshin Triads and the Skaven Slave Spears. Not to mention the Lightning Cannons get to do some zapping. They have armor piercing and a bonus versus large. The cheap infantry in the center is just kind of a ruse, honestly. They're there to protect the Warplock Jezzails in a way, and those Warplock Jezzails are moving up trying to get better shots right now. They've got an attack order. If we take a look, they've got an attack order on the Skin Wolf back here, and they're doing some serious damage while Wulfric is taking a lot of damage from the Warp Lightning Cannons. And look at this, the Ice Wolf Chariot's kind of getting ahead of themselves. Very, very gutsy move for them here, and they're just taking fire from all around. And an Ice Wolf Chariot can't handle this type of thing. And look at this, nice use of a summon to kind of disrupt the incoming Norskin position. The Icehorn Marauders get stuck on it. So it's a good way to kind of delay the main engagement and allow your skirmishers to do some work. Not a bad idea. Now, too early here with the ability by the Warp Grinders. Shouldn't be using that yet, so that may have been a misclick. But you can see that otherwise the Skaven line's kind of held back in reserve, and then the Warplock Jezzails are being pulled back. But the main well, there was some significant damage done by the Jezzails on the Werekin, who had to hang out in the background for a long time. And this allowed the Warp Lightning Cannons to do some pretty significant work. Look at this, before the battle even starts, Marauder Berserkers pretty beat up. However, despite a nice start for the Skaven, these Mistwalkers are going to be a very difficult unit for the Skaven to defeat or even hold back at this point. But look at the just persistence, the non-stop firing. Here is the damage ability that's set off by the warp grinders. Would have been better if it was timed in with the not moving ability, but still not bad. These cannons just don't stop firing, and they are slowly but surely working Wulfric down. And if this army loses Wulfric, it's a lot of Marauders. It's a risky gambit. Here, the Ice Wolves are going to get a hold of the Warp Block Jezzails, who did do some damage to the Werekin, but definitely way too early for them to be facing destruction here. You can see the Plague Priest and the Furnace kind of continually summoning units into this fight as it's able to. And it is pretty good against infantry. It's one way to hold it back. Look at the Brass Orb there from IKIT. Nice drop on the Icehorn Marauders. And then, of course, the Rat Ogres were used to help fight infantry, but there's just too much infantry over here. And the Eshin Triads even moved in over here to help out, leaving the Warp Lightning Cannon alone. But because Norsca is committed into the middle of this fight, the Warp Lightning Cannon is just sitting back, and it just continues to unload. IKIT supports as he gets the chance, kind of going in and out of the fight. This is a good move. Doesn't want to overcommit and get killed. You can see there Wulfric just continuing to take volley after volley after volley on the Warp Lightning Cannons. He's nearly dead. There was some Scummond. It's actually a pretty decent name for Skaven. Anyway, there are some, the Ice Wolves did rip through most all of the Warp Block Jezzails. There's a few that are routing, but I'm pretty sure that they're all shattered. We got the Warp Grinder back, so nice play by the Ice Wolves, and now they've got this cannon in their sights, the cannon that has just been firing non-stop the whole game. Now watch what happens when the Wolves charge these cannons. It's something you got to be aware of when you're fighting Skaven artillery. See how all their units kind of just get caught on the unit itself and barely engages the artillery teams? This will allow the Skaven artillery to continue firing. You've got to really continue to click some manual orders there whenever this situation comes up, and make sure that you shut down that artillery where it can't fire. As you can see over here, there are still shots coming in, and this is critical. It's very critical. Maybe a little friendly fire here too, but those shots end up routing Wulfric the Wanderer. And the Famir Warriors are taking some significant damage from it as well. So the battle did not look very good for Skaven, and it's still going to be tough, but they do have some units coming back from routing, albeit cheap units. Any unit is going to help. And their Warp Lightning Cannons just haven't been dealt with. And some of the faster moving units are the Ice Wolves, and they're just busy, and now they're bogged down with Skaven Slave Spears. It's not something that they need to be involved with. They are going to manage to probably rout that Warp Lightning Cannon, but look at the fights here now. Cheap Skaven Infantry manages to stick around, and now IKIT Claw and the Plague Priest can just try and avoid the biggest units, let their regrouping units come into fight, while the Warp Lightning Cannons continue to zap these northmen-things. And slowly but surely they can work their way back into this. Now look, Wulfric is running away at this point. An appropriate kill by IKIT Claw. Splatter Spree. Sunday Driver. Yeah, anyway, so we need some of those old Halo lines to come in there. So that's going to be the end of Wulfric, and that's going to hurt. It's going to hurt the Norskins bad. They were actually doing pretty good in this fight. The loss of their leadership is going to be a big loss. You can see that the Werekin is still trying very hard to get over here, and so are the Famir Warriors, really trying to get the Plague Priest. And they are doing significant damage to it, but here, look, the Miststalkers rout. They've just taken too much damage from all the fire from the Warp Lightning Cannons. Warp Lightning Cannon's still around. This Warp Lightning Cannon is finally gone. There's only one unit of wolves, or there's one unit of wolves here, and a second finally getting to this Warp Lightning Cannon. And again, though, look at the same thing. Units kind of getting stuck on the front of this, and not exactly shutting down the fire of those cannons anytime too soon. So you're going to see IKIT continue to work his magic here in the middle of this fight, and look at these dogs are badly needed to get rid of the Warp Lightning Cannons, and instead they get stuck on IKIT and get terrified right out of the fight. There's very little that Norsca has at this point that can do anything to IKIT. The terror is going to be real, and a chariot with this kind of damage versus infantry, it's a death sentence for the Norskins, even though that they had an upper hand for a while. Look at this. Werekin just kind of gets worn down by summon units, and the leadership just can't hold together. He's having to run away from all these routing units. So it's a tough position for the Norskins here, and it's really kind of a fun play by the Skaven. Appreciate this being submitted. by Marin here. This was a fun one. Marin, thank you for being a part of the Discord. Other people who have been submitting, I have been watching your replays. If you have some, please go there. I'd love to see it. Love to see it. If you just absolutely refuse to go on the Discord, that is fine. You can still submit a replay to me at airtotalwar@gmail.com if you want. Love to take a look at these. It's a fun army because there was a lot of zap here. I mean, I love me some Warplock Jezzails, but we didn't get to see them really put to great use here because the Ice Wolves did successfully shut them down. So there was some very important work done by the Ice Wolves, but they were just so late getting to these cannons. And the cannons don't have tons of kills. It's a fair amount, all things considered, but they killed Wolfric. And then they did considerable damage to the Skin Wolf and the Famir warriors. So that's a lot of spend that these cannons get to work against, and it's totally worth it. IKIT did some serious work here. 97 kills, a lot of terror late in that battle. It just kind of goes to show you that that whole cheap Skaven infantry line can be deceiving here. Those Warp Lightning cannons kind of needed to be a priority one, and I can understand why the Norskins didn't really want to just overcommit to them early on, but because you had the Warplock Jezzails there too. So again, I like the deployment by the Skaven here. It forces a decision-making process by the Norskins. They're going to have to either divide and try and conquer, or they're going to have to focus somewhere and get shot, right? So that's the means of deployment here for the Skaven, and I like it because it makes the Norskin player make a decision. It doesn't mean that they'll lose. It just means that they have to go commit to that decision and do it well, or they might lose, like they did here. I think that the Chariots got involved too early. If this unit would have been held back a little longer, maybe send a Marauder on both flanks to tie down infantry, while you bring in one Ice Wolf on either flank all the way around behind the cannons. Now, there were 2 units of infantry, so it still could be difficult. And then you can maybe run the Chariots in behind the other infantry and try and scoot through the line and get to the Skaven Warplock Jezzails with the Chariots. Same thing with the Famir Warriors. They could probably crash through an infantry line and get to the Warplock Jezzails. But I mean, 2 Warplock Jezzails will cause a lot of damage real quick, so charging straight into the front of them sucks. You're going to pay a major price for it. But hey, really appreciate I and Marin here, or Karanovic, or however you say it. Appreciate both of them playing a fun battle. Thank you for submitting this, Marin, and being a part of that Discord. I can't wait to see more from you all. And then I'm going to be playing more team battles every couple days myself. I'll hop on the Discord, get together with a team battle. It seems like people are really enjoying those. And then campaign videos, I'm going to keep them coming. I'm just a little bit strapped for time recently, and so it's taking me a little longer to release them than I would like. Be patient, though. They'll keep rolling, and I'll do my best to keep up with everything. Anyway, HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I will see you all soon with some more Total War Warhammer 2 battle action.